All right, I've got. Let's go ahead and please stand for call to order. Please stand for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everyone for the minutes to reflect the attendance of the various trustees and staff. Let's move on to the rest of the agenda. Item 3 is to entertain a motion for approval of the 8/16 committee of the whole, the 8/16 village board file, the 5/19 park and rec board, 6/22 plan commission, 7/19 finance committee, 7/26 joint library board, and the 7/27 plan commission meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. Motion is second, and all those comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes.
On the planning commission meeting minutes of the 27th July, page 12. So Bob Tillman was one character requesting concept plan review for residential on the west side of Grafton, like east side. First paragraph.
Just a reminder that village board may not change the plan commission minutes. That happens at the plan commission.
I wasn't there, so I didn't see it.
Okay, so take that up.
Yes.
Okay, any other comments, clarifications? Okay, we have a motion and a second. That direction, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Anybody on the audience on a non-agenda item? Move on to item 5. Any information has been presented in the normal fashion. Let's move on to item 6. Resolutions or action item. Item A is the use of American Rescue Plan Act funds in 2021 for the USS Liberty Memorial Library projects. You want to speak to it?
Sure, I can speak to it. Director Hanson is here as well to speak to this as well. Before the village board this evening is a package, I guess, if you will, that was directed by the library board to and approved with regards to setting forth capital projects in accord with the use of ARPA funds, as well as the priorities set under the committee of the whole discussions. The library board did come forward and approve projects in a package deal, if you will, with a total not to exceed $160,000. Now that accounts for the village's share of these capital projects. The actual action requested will be slightly different. I wanted to point that out right now. But the projects in particular speak to window replacement, as we do have seals that are failing on the windows and they are starting to fog. John, correct me if I'm wrong, there may be a leaking issue as well, but I do know they are fogging up because of broken seals. Roof repairs as well as elevator repairs. That said, there is an agreement with the township that does split these type of expenditures approximately 78.5% to 21.5%. That being said, we would look to utilize the overall project costs would be in the ballpark of not to exceed rather $188,000. Again, that initial 160 number that I reported is the village's portion. So that being said, because of these projects being in line with committee of the whole prioritization, as well as the fact that we would look to utilize ARPA funds over the course of several years, thus avoiding the that threshold that would trigger a federal audit. And so in essence, we can get more bang for our buck because we can stretch this out over time, if you will, do more projects and not have to worry about bumping up to that federal threshold. So that being said, what is before the board this evening is action requested of approval to proceed with the window replacement, roof repair, and elevator repair of the USS Liberty Memorial Library at a cost not to exceed $188,000, and that would be the total project cost, not specifically calling out the cost share percentages.
Why wouldn't we call it the cost share percentages?
This is wording that actually came to us as a project as a whole. We can absolutely call out the cost sharing percentages with the original library board's direction of a cost not of the cost to the village not to exceed $160,000.
John, what was the feedback from library board as far as cost sharing from the town?
Tomorrow, we're gonna be meeting with the town. Paul, Dinah, her, myself, Jesse perhaps too, and a couple of people at the town. So, and on the town board representative on the library board supportive of it. So tomorrow we can have further some more discussions. And I'm expecting them to be, since the grand total for the town will be, should be less than $40,000. And they're pretty much all kind of critical type things. I feel pretty good about them.
Good.
Want to go forward.
At least for my comfort, and since you haven't had the official quote unquote meeting, I would like to include that the village, with the village adding it that we would use the current cost share ratios.
Yep, and every year we do that, we take,
I mean, I would like to put that in the action item simply because you haven't had the official meeting with the town yet.
that sounds
Okay.
reasonable, right?
Questions from the village board? Yeah, Tom?
This would, this action or
I would add that to the action item. Other questions? Yes?
How long have we had this percent agreement with the town regarding the library?
It definitely predates me, not that I've been here all that long.
It's been on since I
Has
was.
it always been
It's
there?
always been. It's been on there since I was on library board.
So what a crazy percent.
The percentage is based on the ratio
Oh,
of
the-
card holders.
Yeah,
Library cards, isn't it?
Yep,
There-
the card holders, and every year I have it updated. Take whoever's used the library in the last 3 years, so it's kind of,
so it changes.
yep.
Slightly, but yeah.
And it's an accurate representation that way of usage, instead of keeping people in there who moved away 5, 10 years ago. You make sure they use in the last 3 years.
So my only other question was, I know that the other item, when I was looking at the minutes from the last meeting talking about this, the town shares cost with the library and the fire departments for items. Is that going to be discussed also, Jesse, or is that a completely different meeting?
That would be a completely different meeting. The discussion for this week is solely focused on this. We will make sure to update the township with regards to, we actually do have, coming up here, we have to update the township of the annual budget request, as well as upcoming capital projects regarding the fire department. So that will be a separate meeting, and that is forthcoming under our service contract. So
Right,
that's
and that's
coming.
every year anyway.
Correct, yep.
Other questions? So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve to proceed with the window replacement, roof repair, and elevator repair of the USS Library Memorial Library at total cost not to exceed $188,000 using current cost share ratios.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Move on item B, for the planning commission, we have one item, that's an ordinance. Amending various sections of chapter 19 zoning be approved. Just entertain a motion to get it on the floor.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion second, Jessica, areas of substance.
Zoning ordinance, new zoning ordinance went into effect January 1 of 2021. So in the past 8 or so months, staff has just noticed, minor typos, corrections, clarifications that need to be made to the code. It looks lengthy, but these sections in the zoning ordinance are lengthy, and I wanted to give some context, so that's why it's on the pages. I'm happy to review any specific components to build forward.
Anybody have any questions for Jessica?
Yes, Jessica, how can we change that to have drive-through?
I'm sorry.
How come we can't change this to have drive-throughs? I know it's been said a long time ago, we only want sit-down restaurants.
Planning commission can make any changes to the zoning ordinance we like.
Okay, so that would be an item on the agenda?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And this is exactly what we talked about at plan commission the other night, right?
It was.
You went over those corrections.
Yes, and then I did make the change to the draft ordinance that there was some discussion about the fencing requirements for outdoor storage areas
Right.
in the different zoning districts, and I made that as recommended by the plan.
So the question? Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Move on to item C, the report of the Board of Public Works. We have one item. from an action that came just prior to this meeting, and the motion is to recommend Village Board award Green Bay Road Tributaries Area Sewer Rehab Project of Bizu Sewer of Pewaukee, Wisconsin, for a total cost not to exceed $374,035.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Amber, do you want to give us the, I mean, it was a pretty good explanation. Everybody was here. Does anybody have any questions for Amber? Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Let's move on to item 7, Department and Officers Reports. Jess, you want to get us started?
Certainly, just a few items for the village board this evening. Earlier this week, Clerk Olson did send out an email to the board members notifying them of a Mid-Moraine Municipal Association meeting scheduled for September 22nd. Please check your email for that notice. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact the clerk's office and they can get you signed up for that event. Again, that's the Mid-Moraine Municipal Association on September 22nd. We did receive our net new construction valuation from the state of Wisconsin. Grafton has the 3rd largest increase over the course of the last year in Ozaukee County. Our percentage increase in based upon net new construction values is about 2.31%. In hard figures, that net new construction valuation increase is about $35.6 million. And our overall 2020 equalized value of $152 million increase. So we do come in behind City of Port Washington and City of Cedarburg respectively. Ozaukee County as a whole did realize about a 1.68% increase in net new construction overall. Some fun event put on each year by the Park and Rec Department at our Family Aquatic Center. The Doggy Paddle event raised just over $540 for the Humane Society, which will be matched dollar for dollar. This is our highest total ever. And we will be forthcoming at a future village board meeting to present that donation to the Humane Society. So just a few updates there for the board this evening.
We also have Jessica, we have Amber, we have the chief, we have John. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Just a real quick update on our Headworks project. We've got to be very close to finish.
We are getting really close to finish. We've been working through some of the major punch list items that were recurring issues with mechanics. So we've been working through all of those. We had a walkthrough last week to get kind of a complete punch list, which is quite lengthy for a project this long, but a lot of really minor items. We are working to hopefully schedule a tour and a building dedication we're looking at in October, when the weather is still nice, but when we can definitely have the pavement and things done, so it's a clean surface to walk everybody on.
Yes.
Amber, I'd like to just recognize you from what I've heard from our constituents who frequent 9th Avenue. There's some nice patchwork that's being done on that road, and I know actually the importance for us as trustees is when somebody tells you you're doing a good job, you pass it along to the department head. So nice job on that, and it just goes to show how important even minimal work on our roads can be to our constituents. So thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you. I'll be sure to pass that on to our crew that's been working on it for the last week or so.
Thank you.
Okay. Lisa.
Just something, Amber, to think about for public works. Maybe you can give me an update. So I know a few meetings ago, and we're talking about Falls Road Lift Station, and we talked about the retention pond there on Green Bay Road and Falls, and backing up, some sewer backup at times or water backup. And there was some discussion about when that retention pond was placed, possibly hardware was maybe directed the wrong way. Yeah, could we get an update on that next week possibly?
Sure.
Because I think we did discuss that, and that would be very costly, but yet it might remedy some of the flooding. I just want to get a better handle on that.
I can put it under director's report, if that's enough for next week, I don't have a lot of time to write
Sure.
a report on it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to update everyone.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah, I'd just like to know a little bit more about that.
Sure.
One other item. Jesse, I think, one of last village board meeting, I had a question about, or maybe it was a finance meeting. We're talking about use of the recovery plan funds, but the regional water study and potential for possibility of looking at an update, considering an update to that. Have you had a chance to talk with anyone else?
I did take the report out and I started going through it. I did actually also reach out to Port Washington, and both of us kind of had an aha moment at the same time, realizing that the report we're referencing actually encompassed Grafton, Cedarburg, Mequon. So that being said, Port Washington at this point is going to look to move forward with their project. But I have pulled it out, and I will talk with Paul tomorrow to see if there is ARPA, if that would be eligible. We think it would be because it is a utility type of project. And we can absolutely have a discussion about that at a future meeting. Yeah.
Well, and I know that Port Washington basically decided to sit on the sidelines
Okay.
and watch what was going on between Mequon, Cedarburg, and Grafton in terms of regional water.
Sure.
Regional water study. They didn't say they were totally against it, but they did want to participate.
Sure.
And now, because my thought was, because they are expanding their plant, this represents another option in terms of looking at regional water supply. At least
Let me have another conversation with their administrator. I know there's many different issues that they're navigating as a community right now, but let me have another follow-up conversation with the administrator, and I will physically put the report in their hands and see if we can make more conversation happen. But that's where our initial contact left off. They were going to focus on their project, but that said, I can continue to put it out in front of them. Absolutely.
This is real quick. I'm sorry. Can you had the net new value, can you just for the next meeting, it's not urgent, but can you get those total equalized value then?
Yeah.
Since that drives debt ratios?
Absolutely.
Thanks. And then if you can also do the comparisons between the two communities, like you did with Port and Cedarburg.
Can do.
Okay.
Amber, Highway 60 bridge looks like it's in need of paint. The paint is really chipping off. Is that anywhere scheduled to be done?
Yeah, the one over the river.
Mhm.
It is, we are aware of it. It's not made it into our schedule yet. It would be nice to try and get it done before the winter season, but I'm just not sure we'll find the time. We're trying.
And quite frankly, we've been kind of keeping our fingers crossed, hoping the state would step in and help out, but I don't think that's going to come to fruition. So we'll definitely look to make a priority of it.
The light pole?
The light pole, that is a whole different, and please, Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, but the light pole is a whole unique situation whereby the light poles we actually have mounted on the bridge aren't meant to be there. Those are meant to be surface level with a full pad of concrete underneath them, not on a pedestal up in the wind. So that being said, we are reviewing the status, or not the status, basically the condition of the other light poles. And as it looks right now, we may be looking at a complete redo where all of them would have to come off and re-engineered, but that remains to be seen yet. So
We actually know they all need to come off. They all have different levels of deterioration or kind of failure. The other ones I don't think are an immediate safety hazard, but they're all cracked and show damage from kind of being up there and exposed to the wind for so many years, and are nearing their lifespan even if they were placed on the ground. So all 8 of them will need to be replaced. That is something that I believe I put in the CIP for next year, and it was removed from the approved CIP just based on the cost.
Can you put it in, included in your discussion?
can do.
Lisa?
Any update on the next meeting for consolidation of the fire departments? It's been a few weeks, I think.
Yes, I just got an email today. And I'm sorry, I don't have my calendar in front of me. I can email that to the board first thing in the morning. So actually a status update in general, based upon a previous weekly update. So right now, as a whole, the communities are looking at kind of a phase 2 study, if you will. Really specifically modeling out in minute detail, different consolidation makeups, different consolidation methods, if you will. And so right now, the administrators were tasked to work with the fire chiefs to put a draft request for proposals together and some ideas as to what that request for proposal should look like. That will be pitched to the chief electeds at our next gathering, which in turn would generate a tangible item to come forward to the village boards as a whole amongst all the different communities. And so that's where it's at right now. It's a large project and it's slowly creeping forward, but hopefully within some reasonable time here, I can come back, and Chief Rice for that matter, can come back to this board with something tangible to look at and consider.
Can you let us know?
Yes.
Because I think a few people have
Yep,
expressed an interest
yep,
in
I know
possibly
Trustee Love-
attending.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. I know
Great.
Trustee Left had mentioned her interest in it, and absolutely I can get that information out to the board. Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Amber, you and or Jesse said something out about an update on the OIC down there at the water plant that got a temporary waiver from the
Yes, sir.
DNR.
Yes, sir.
Like, how long is that waiver? I know, I think Brecken and Eric are going to try and complete whatever training, and you know how long that might take and how long this waiver is good for?
Right now, the initial feedback from the DNR is through January of 22. That said, the DNR is open as we show progress in obtaining those certs. They are open to continue this discussion. So the long and short of it is the DNR is very comfortable with our state of transition. They understand the situation and we can continue operations, and they will monitor our compliance as usual.
And how long does it take to get that certification completed?
We could potentially have Mr. Narodi passing his final test or two here within the before year's end. Again, this is partially based upon DNR testing availability. They are saying that online, these tests will be available online shortly. Otherwise, they are individual sitting sessions, and Implover was the closest one we could get to under an emergency circumstance. And we got both Brecken and Eric for that seated one. And we are hoping that they go online as promised as soon as possible. So therefore, at their convenience, they can take these tests and move forward.
Did we get any credit for Brendan's time and service in Minnesota?
I did not get that feedback.
Yes, we do, as well as my engineering degree, that I'll be able to not have to take the advanced level exam. My experience will count in place of that.
Excellent.
So I just need the initial exams.
Good news.
Perfect.
Anything else? All right. Item 9, item 8, we have requests for operator's license, 2 individuals and their place of employment. Entertained motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, for the bills, entertain a motion for approval of village expenditures, $1,191,014.30.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. I saw the back and forth today. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item 10, entertain a motion to close. Convene a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 1985-1G to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which or which it is not likely to become involved. Estimated time?
5 to 10
5
minutes.
minutes.
What he said.
Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We are in closed session for 5 to 10 minutes.